back, everyone, and we're going to dive into some really deep conversation that everyone on the island is obviously talking about, the upcoming general election. Okay, Prima Scott.
Yes.
I'm going to start off with a pretty hard one. What are your opinions on the Free Democratic Movement and their leader, Mark Bean?
I know Mark had influence over his early political development. Disappointed that he should choose to run or set up a party against the party he was leader. But, and here is the point, I've fought for 30, 40 years of my life to establish the PLP so that we would have many of the freedoms we didn't have in the 40s, 50s. And Mark has the right to use what we fought for, even though I don't agree with what he's doing. Now, from a political point of view, I think it's early days for his party when it comes to policies. I don't hear him or his party articulating significant differences, policy initiatives that would make me say, yes, I see why he is choosing to give people an option to the PLP or an option to the OBA. So I think it's early days for him. A little more thought should have gone into it, or they should have at least announced their intention earlier so the people could digest and say, oh, I see what you're saying. But right now, he's not saying enough for me to think it was warranted him running against his old party.
Okay. Well, that'll actually lead me to my next question. You're saying that it's too early for him. And we had actually read a tweet earlier about starting or even calling this general election. Like, Prima Barrett called the general election in the midst of a pandemic. They still had about almost 2 years before they had to call another one.
Yes.
So how do you feel about him calling this election during a pandemic? Is this something you would have done?
It is the political thing to do. Sir John Swan did it to the PLP when we were in our most difficult position. He called one election, then 2 years another election, and he pushed us right down. That's hardball politics. Now, the thing to do with the public interest raises a question is, did Prima Barrett call this election to push the OBA down? And if he was aware of the FDM, cut him off at the legs? Or did Premier Barrett call the election now because the pandemic has been a challenge like no other challenge we've had? He's going to have to work for what I call preparing Bermuda for the new normal. New abnormal. It's never going to go back to what it was. So Premier Barrett has to now come up with policy initiatives that will see Bermuda not only regain the economic ground that it had, regain all of the accomplishments that the government had established. But, and this is the reason to call an election, he most probably will have to come up with new initiatives. 2 years that you said he had left would have left him fighting politically with the OBA or the FDM, who would be preparing for the election, which would have been 2 years down the road, 6 months down the road, 1 year down the road. But if he has an election now, clears the debt, gets the support from the public, now he has 4 to 5 years to put those new initiatives not only before the public, but to the utilization of the public. And therefore, Bermuda, in very short order, will be equal to the challenges that will lay ahead in the next 3, 4 years. Short version is, he's looking to the future, not looking at what is happening right now.
Okay. Interesting viewpoint. Okay. So my next question for you then would be, I don't know if you've heard actually. Have you heard that people are looking for a national debate from all three leaders?
Yes.
You have heard that,
Yeah.
okay. And if you may have also read that Premier David Burt has said that he will not have a national debate with any party who cannot form a government. So in that correlation, talking about the Free Democratic Movement, they have 15 candidates. And so he believes that that's not sufficient enough to form a government. So he will not have the debate. How do you feel about him denying the country, is what we're all asking for, a national debate?
Oh, I would differ with him totally on that because, number one, maybe it's my communication background, and we've been talking, this whole program we've had, and I've enjoyed it, by the way. This whole program we've had is about communicating with the public, or communications with the public and getting information to them. A debate gives the public you serve, and that's the important point. You are not there to be premier of a party. You're not there to be popular and get good poll numbers. You're there to serve the public interest. Anything else, you shouldn't be there. And so therefore, if there are individuals calling for a debate, of course you arrange a debate. I don't care if the FDM only has one follower. That one person deserves, when it comes to the general election and the principles that the PLP fought for and stood for, that requires your response. They should know what you're going to, why you had the election. That could be a debate topic. What you intend to do if you win the election. That could be a debate topic. And you have a responsibility to count for your stewardship. The one member who is following the FDM, or the 100 members who are following the FDM, the whole OBA membership have a right to challenge you on what you've done and what you haven't done. So yes, a debate is the most important, I think, and I don't agree with Premier Burt not choosing to just openly debate.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's definitely been the biggest topic of conversation about having this national debate, because Bermuda hasn't really had one. And now that there is a third party, it's like this is the perfect time to have something where you have three persons going head to head to head. Okay, so my final question about the election would be, who do you think is going to win?
What you should have said, how much is the PLP going to win by?
Okay, so you're
No. I think the PLP will win. It will be a shot across the PLP's bow if they drop one seat, because that means that there is not the support there that they had last time, and I think they stand a chance of picking up one or two seats. And as an old PLP premier, as someone who fought with others to get them to this point, if they pick up seats, that will be a problem for them. So the PLP can't win in this election. If you lose, that says, well, you're losing support. If you pick up seats, that's going to be more individuals sitting on your back bench. And you know what they say about idle hands. Mm-hmm. So therefore, Premier Burt will now have more potential problems on his back bench than he has now. I'll give you a short anecdote. We entertained a British delegation many, many years ago. They had just gone through an election, and we were talking to the finance minister, and he said, you know, I was in England, sitting there on the front benches with my colleagues, and I said, how nice it is to be victorious and look over there on the other side of Parliament. There is the enemy. And his colleague says, no, that's the opposition. The enemy are behind us. Behind you, you have your own members who are on the backbench. They have ambition. They want to be ministers. They want to have their policy ideas acted upon. And so if Premier Burt gets more members than he currently has, he's going to have more potential challengers on his benches than across the way.
Okay, so actually I want to follow up with that and ask you, do you think that as an island of our size, do we have way too many constituencies? 836?
It's obviously that's an excellent question. Never thought of it specifically, but no. I think Mrs. Brown Evans put it this way: rights given shouldn't be lightly taken away. 36 we have what? 36 members. We're broken down to 36 constituencies. But this means that Bermuda has a unique opportunity for representation. This means that a small group, about 1,200 people, 1,000 to 1,200 people, have their own representative. And if you break it down, then that number gets larger. Bermuda has the opportunity, Bermudians have the opportunity to have good representation if they have a good MP. And if we had smaller constituencies, then that would be watering down the representation we currently have.
Okay. All right. So we're going to end it there and we'll be right back.